Hello and welcome to today's session. My name is Ankit Sharma. I am a PhD scholar at Gujarat University and I am doing research on the topic non-performing assets, and which is an interdisciplinary research between economics and finance. Right. This is an introductory session. This is a sample session, and this is a demo session basically to give you a perspective into how these classes, these tutoring classes at CollegeDekho will go on. And in these types of tutoring classes, today we'll be looking at a demo session of microeconomics, right? If you logged in to CollegeDekho yesterday, we had a demo session for macroeconomics, and today we are beginning with microeconomics. And in microeconomics, we are looking at demand analysis, right? So these are very basic information, very basic details, or very basic topics from microeconomics that all of us have studied in class 11th and 12th. But regardless, it does not matter if you were able to pay attention or not, if your basics are clear or not, because we will be starting right from the scratch, right? We will be looking at these basics right from the beginning. All right, and now let us begin with our demo session. If you have any questions, you may please comment, and I will try to answer as many as I can. All right. So the name of our topic is demand analysis, and in this topic, we'll be understanding what demand means. We'll be looking at two different types of details about demand, which is the theories of demand, the various types of basics that are related to demand, and we will be looking at the elasticity of demand. Uh, by elasticity, it means the term elasticity of demand means analyzing the demand or calculating the demand and plotting it on a graph, right? We measure the elasticity of demand using the various factors that affect demand, and we will be looking at all of this in this PPT in this session. Now, please note here that since this is a demo session, since this is just a trial class, we will not be going into details into all of these topics. We'll be just gaining a brief understanding of these different topics. We'll be just looking at the basics first of all. All right. So let us begin now. So first of all, let us begin with the theory of demand and the elasticity of demand. These are two different types of categories which sum up the theories that are related to demand, as in whatever demand consists of, the term demand consists of, right? And in this session, we'll be looking at just these two theories, just these two topics, which is the theory of demand and the elasticity of demand. Elasticity again is how you measure the demand that is made by a consumer or a group of consumers. Right, now let us begin with the theory of demand. Now, first of all, the question that arises is, what is demand? Right? We have all heard this term that we want this product, we need this product, or that there is a demand for this particular product. Right? So whenever these iPhones, whenever these MacBooks, whenever Apple launches these new products, every year we see that we always hear this term that there is a lot of demand for this particular model of iPhone, or there is a lot of demand for this particular model of MacBook. Or so this is just an example. It could be for any product, or it could be for any service, right? But although we have been hearing this term demand since all the time basically. But what does this term means? What does the term demand means? Now let us look at this. So demand refers to the quantity of the commodity which a consumer is willing to buy at a particular price during a particular period of time, right? Now, let us understand this definition that demand refers to the quantity of the commodity, right? A certain amount of quantity or a certain amount of service that a consumer is willing to buy at a particular price that is mentioned with the service or with the demand at a particular period of time. So, again, to give you an example, and using the same example as before, that today Apple has launched a new iPhone, and let us say that it costs 1 lakh rupees. So if I want to purchase this commodity, whose price is 1 lakh, and if I want to purchase it today, because we know that the value of these iPhones, they diminish over a period of time. For the same particular model, we are talking about the same model. So whenever a new model uh, comes into the market, the price or the demand for the old model decreases over time. So at a particular period of time, as of today, as of now, uh, the demand or my willingness to purchase this model of iPhone for 1 lakh rupees is the demand for that I am making as a consumer, right? So it is the quantity of a commodity which a consumer, I, which a consumer is willing to buy at a particular price during a particular period of time, right? Now let us look at the different factors that affect the demand of a commodity or that affect the demand of a service, right? So there could be many different factors. uh, Let us take a brief look at them. Now these factors could be, first of all, the demand of the commodity, which is computed by uh, factoring in, which is computed by taking into account different types of factors such as the price of the commodity. Now this price, in case of what the type of commodity is, if it is a normal commodity, or if it is a luxury product, or if it is a giffen goods, right? So on the basis of different types of goods that are there in the market, price is almost always the biggest factor in ascertaining the demand of that commodity in the market, right? So these factors could be from could be these could there could be any amount of factors that affect the demand, but the most important, in theory, is the price of the commodity, because in certain goods, in most of the cases, the thing that happens that in the practical market is that uh, the price of the commodity and the demand of the commodity are, it could be directly proportional, or it could be in proportional, right? Such as, if the price of the commodity is going up, the demand of the commodity would also go up, or if the price of the commodity is going down, the price of the commodity will not will also go down. Now on the other hand, the exact opposite of this, which is that if the price of the commodity is going up, the demand of the commodity will go down, or if the price of the commodity is decreasing, then the I'm sorry if the price of the commodity is decreasing, then the demand of the commodity will increase, right? So this was just one of the example, one of the factors that affect demand. Now another factor could be the price of some other good, right? And this other good is almost always the supplementary good, or it could be a complementary good as well. Now what are supplementary goods, or what are complementary goods? So complementary goods are certain goods which are used in combination with the first product, right? So let us take an example of tea, right? Now if a business is making tea with the tea leaves, the chai patti, with the tea leaves, sugar is almost always a complementary product, right? And what would be a supplementary product? Coffee, right? Because if a customer does not want to go for tea, coffee would be a supplementary product, right? So the price of the other good, whether it is a supplementary good or it is a complementary good, also affects the demand for a particular commodity, right? Now some other factors could be the consumer's income. All right, if the consumer's income, if the consumer is comfortable with the income, and if he or she can buy, let us say, a particular set of goods, a particular basket of goods, right? And if the income decreases, or if the income increases, then there would be a change in the willingness of the customer for either buying the same basket of goods, or either changing the contents of this basket of goods. Now he or she could either increase the amount of goods that are there in the basket, or he or she could decrease the amounts of goods that are there in the basket already, right? And another factor that affects demand could be the consumers taste and preferences, right, which keeps on changing, which keeps on changing. Now, to use the same example again, if the consumer's preference today is buying an iPhone 13, let us say, and but that is the consumer's taste and preference as of today, as of now, right? Now, tomorrow, if let us say Samsung has come out with a new product, with a new model of a phone, now my taste and preference could change to Samsung because it has come out with a with some very new and innovating features, right, which completely changes my perspective towards mobile phones, right? So the consumer's taste and preferences also matters a lot in deciding the demand for a commodity. All right. Now, these were some of the factors which you talked about. To give you a summary, these factors could be, first of all, the price of the commodity, the price of the other commodity, that is the supplementary good or the complementary good. Then we talked about the consumer's demand being the consumer's income being a factor in affecting demand. And then towards the last, we also talked about the consumer's taste and preference towards the commodity that is in question, right? Now, let us look at the law of demand. Now, what does the law of demand says? The law of demand states that there is a definite inverse relationship between the price of the good and the quantity demanded of that good. Right? Now, what does inverse relationship means? Now, inverse relationship means that uh, if two items are inversely proportionate with each other, then if the first product is going up, then the second factor is going down. If the first factor is going down, then the second factor is going up, right? So this is inverse relationship, as in whatever is happening with the first factor, the exact opposite thing will happen with the second factor. So the law of demand states that there is a definite inverse relationship between the price of the good and the quantity demanded of that good, which says that, which means basically that if the price of the good is going up, then the demand of that product should go down, and if the price of the commodity is going down, then the demand of that commodity should go up. This is what the law of demand states. This is what the law of demand basically explains, right? Now let us now again, I'll just go back. Now again, there are various other exceptions that exist in the law of demand, but this definition was just to give you a perspective, a basic understanding of how uh, of what law of demand means. All right. Now let us look at the second category for today, the second topic for today, which is the elasticity of demand. Right now, what does this term elasticity means? What does this term elasticity of demand means? So elasticity of demand is defined as a percentage change in quantity demanded of a good to a percentage change in its price. Right? So we understood in the beginning of this topic that elasticity of demand is concerned with calculating the demand for a certain commodity. Now, the exact definition of price elasticity of demand, we are looking at the price elasticity of demand, as in the elasticity of demand that is affected by the price of the product. All right, so that is the price elasticity of demand. Now, this price elasticity of demand, it calculates the percentage change in quantity demanded according to the percentage change in the price of the commodity, right? So whatever change that is happening in the price of a commodity, and accordingly whatever percentage change is happening in the demand of that commodity, this price elasticity of demand calculates this percentage, it calculates this ratio, right? Now, in the previous topic, we learned the law of demand, which states that there is an inverse relationship between the price of a commodity and the demand of that commodity. And in the price elasticity of demand, this inverse relationship is calculated, right? Whatever relationship that exists between the price of the commodity and the demand of the commodity is calculated in terms of percentages. So let us say that if the price of a commodity today is 10 rupees, and if the demand is, let us say, 100 commodities, and if the price is changing from 10 to 15, so the change here is 5 rupees, but the percentage change would be 50%. So if there is a 50% change in the price of the commodity, then accordingly, what is the amount of change in percentage in the demand of that commodity, right? So this percentage change is calculated in the price elasticity of demand. So this is what the price elasticity of demand is concerned with. Right, now let us look at the various factors that affect the price elasticity of the demand. Now, just like in the previous slide, we looked at the various factors that affect the demand of a commodity. Now we will be looking at the various factors that affect the price elasticity of a commodity. Now, again, there could be many different factors, just like in the previous slide. Now, some of these factors are, first of all, there could be availability of close substitute, availability of a substitute commodity, basically. Now, again, using the same example that we used earlier on, that if a consumer could either go for chai or for coffee, right? Now, uh, a general customer, a general consumer would find each of these products very close substitutes of each other, but only a chai lover or a coffee lover could tell you that these products are complete opposite of each other, right? But we are talking about a normal consumer. So availability of close substitutes like this, uh, it affects the price elasticity of demand, right? So a good product having close substitution will have an elastic demand, and a good with no close substitute product available will have an inelastic demand. Right, now, what is an elastic demand or inelastic demand? Elastic demand means, in this case, it means that if a commodity already has uh, a replacement product or a close substitute good, then it will affect the elasticity of the demand, right? But if there is no other product available, if there is no substitute good, then the consumer do not have any option to shift to some other product, right? The demand of this commodity would remain the same because there is no substitute good that is available. So this would be an this good would have an elastic demand. All right. Now, other factor that affects the price elasticity could be the income of the consumer, just like we talked about in the previous slide, that if the income level of consumer, if the income level of one consumer is high, the elasticity of demand is less. Now, how it is? Is this the case? Because if the income level of the consumer is high, if the consumer uh, have a lot of savings with him, if the consumer has a lot of cash with him, then the demand could be less if this commodity is a normal good or if it is a giffen good, right? So according to whether the commodity is, what type of a commodity is, the income level of the consumer uh, affects the price elasticity of the demand. As in, if a consumer is already earning lots of money, then he or she may prefer to go for luxury products, right, instead of normal products. All right, because now the consumer can afford all of these different types of products that are much better in quality, that are much better in quantity than the normal goods that are available, than the normal goods that the consumer would have bought if the income level of this consumer was low, right? Another factor that affects price elasticity of demand could be the number of uses of the commodity. Now, let us look at this factor. It says that the more the number of uses a commodity can be put to, the more elastic is the demand, right? So according to the uses of this commodity, how flexible the use of the commodity is, because if a product could be used in various different ways in various different places, then the demand of this commodity would be high, because I just have to buy this commodity once and then I could use it in different various places, right? An example of this would be uh, milk, right? So you just have to buy milk and you can use it in various different places, such as you could use it to make chai, or you could use it to make coffee, or you could use it to just have some plain milk, right? So the number of the uses of commodity also affects the price elasticity of demand, right? And another factor again could be the time period that is involved. Now, how does time factor affect the price elasticity of demand? So, if the time period needed to find substitutes of the commodity is more, the elasticity of demand is more, and vice versa. So, again, um, there is a inverse relationship here, right? How come? Because if a consumer has to invest a lot of time in finding a substitute of the first commodity, then the price elasticity of demand is more, right? So the more the time, I'm sorry, there is a direct relationship. So the more the time that exists, the more the time that a consumer takes to find a substitute, the more the price elasticity of demand would be. Now, an example here could be flying by aeroplane that has inelastic demand, as no substitutes are available in the short run, right? So in the long run, there are many other substitutes, as in if I already know that I have to be in a certain city on a certain date, then I could already start looking for different types of modes of transportations. I could either go by train, I could either go by road, right? There are various options available in the long run, but in the short run, if there is an emergency, if I have to be at a certain place very immediately, then there are no close substitutes available, right? Because flying cars are still a distant reality. Let us confess this. So, in terms of how much time does a customer or a consumer have to invest in order to find a close substitute, the price elasticity of demand would affect it. The price elasticity of demand would be affected by it, because again, the more the time the consumer has to invest, the more the price elasticity of demand would be, right? So these were a few factors that affect the elasticity of demand. There are various other factors, but since we are only looking at these factors in little details, so we only talked about a few of these factors. Now, the price elasticity of demand could be calculated using these various graphs that these demand curve is plotted on, right? And we use different factors such as the price and the demand, and how much the demand is increasing or decreasing on the basis of how much the price is decreasing on it or increasing. And all of these changes are plotted on a graph, and the demand curve is computed. The demand curve is assessed using these changes in the price and the demand of the commodity, right? And all of these could be covered in a very detailed session, which we would be looking at in one of the 1 hour sessions. So in this session, we basically talked about the demand analysis. We talked about two different categories, which were the theories of demand, where we looked at various types of theoretical aspects of demand, the definition or the factors that affect the demand of a commodity. We understood the terms substitute goods and complementary goods, and then we looked at the second category, which is the elasticity of demand. We understood what elasticity of demand means. We understood what price elasticity of demand means. And at the end, we looked at the factors affecting price elasticity of demand. Right? So all of this were to just give you a brief look into the demand analysis of a product. And I hope all of these topics, I hope all of these little details were clear to you. And this was it for this session. And again, this was a demo session, so we didn't go into much details, but we will be conducting 1 hour sessions for each of these topics for to go into further details about each of these topics. And these sessions would be taken by CollegeDekho. So you could go onto their website, and then you can check the availability of different types of courses and the different types of teachers that are taking these courses, right? So this was it for this session, and I hope to see you someday in the 1 hour sessions, which are live classes, and where you could ask your doubts, and where all of these doubts would be cleared in detail, right? And these would be live sessions, and where live interaction would also take place, right? So I hope to see you in these live sessions one day, and this is it for this class. All right, thank you so much. I hope you had a good learning.